welcome back to Spotlight. I want to welcome my guest, director of the BVI Tourist Board, Ms. Sharon Flax Mars. Good to see you.
Yes, good evening, Cromwell. Nice to see you as well.
Yes, you're always looking fresh.
Thank you.
And of course, good brother Keith Dawson, the marketing manager.
Good evening. How are you doing?
It's always good to have you both.
Good, thank you.
I have to say, you guys are really making tourism exciting in the BVI.
Thank you.
For BVI land, for Virgin
Yes,
Islands.
yes, it is. Tourism is a very exciting field, and it's what the BVI is all about anyway.
Yeah, we've been having a good time. I've been having a good time lately. And I know a lot of people have been having a good time lately. The festival, the music festivals, the Anegada Lobster Fest, the food fest, things that happens on Peter Island. I mean, everything, it's like, we need something to do too. I mean,
Yes, and
this is our home, but
and that's the important thing, that tourism at the end of the day, it's not only for the visitors, it's for those of us who live here as well, and especially since we have so many different islands, it's good to be guests sometimes in our own home.
It's fabulous. I love to go to Virgin Gorda. I love to go to Anegada. I love to go to Jasmine Lake. It's like going away.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't need to go through immigration or customs.
No.
I didn't even think about
Easy
that part
pass.
of it. Yes.
Yeah. So you have a new One BVI awareness campaign. Tell us about that. What's the message? What's the goal? What your plans are?
Okay, Keith, I'll let you.
Let me open on that one, and you pitch in when
and
you
I can, yes.
at your leisure.
Yes.
One BVI. It is a tourism awareness campaign aimed at bringing the message across to all residents. And I'm not talking about, sometimes you hear the term resident, they talk about persons who have residence status.
People who live in here.
People living here, that's a simple definition. People who live here. If you're living here, you're a resident.
Yeah.
When the visitor looks at someone or interact with someone, they might hear the different accents as they come along, some of them accents that they recognize, but they look at us as the people in the Virgin Islands, the people in Tortola, Virgin Gorda, Anegada, Just Van Dyke. They look at us as the Virgin Islands.
We look at us as the same.
Yeah, exactly. We're the hosts.
They're the hosts. Yeah.
They're not going to be saying, well, and if they have a good or bad time, they're not going to say, well, they had a bad interaction. They're going to say, that guy from wherever that lives in the BVI, they're not going to point to that. They're going to say, that guy from the BVI really gave me a hard time.
That's one time you all become BVI landowners.
Yes.
That's it.
And that's the
So
and that's
we're all
the impetus.
stakeholders.
Yes.
So the central message is we are one BVI, and tourism is everybody's business. That even the persons who are not engaged directly in tourism have an impact and can have an impact on the guest experience. And the director always nudges me sometimes to tell me to ensure that I say guests, because it has a different connotation than visitor.
Yeah.
The visitor sounds a little bit removed, but guest is...
Or even tourists.
Yes.
Yeah, and
tourists.
a guest, because the
Yes.
idea is that a guest you invite
Yes.
into
Your
your
home.
home.
Yeah.
So we're
And you treat them
inviting, and you
special.
treat them special.
Yeah.
So the idea is everyone coming here,
Exactly.
should be treated special.
So have we been lacking in the way we've been treating our guests? It seems like this points to the direction that there's a need for us to be more welcoming, more friendlier, more accommodating,
Yes.
more appreciative.
And I think so. I mean, we really need to be honest with ourselves. There are some things that we do well, and there are some things that we don't. There are some sectors of hospitality, or even just in the BVI, that treat our guests well, and there are others that don't. The important thing is that we, from a one BVI standpoint, need to look at consistency in the delivery of service and in the product that we provide to our guests who come and visit us, hence our One BVI campaign.
How are we going to get, what are the plans are in the campaign? You talk about consistency in service to improve or maintain a higher level of service throughout, the tourism product, whether you're in a hotel, restaurant, nightclub, wherever you are, rent a car. that the level of service, the friendliness, the accommodation, the attitude is the same? Do we have plans to get that done?
We have plans, and in fact, we have started. We started a program last year with the Disney Institute. It's a program that was born out of the birthing agreements because there is a training component. And the idea was to come up with a service framework for tourism, a service framework for our guest service experience. This card that I have here, our aim is that every resident in the BVI eventually will have one of these cards. And what it talks about is our service standards in the BVI, our service behaviors, and what we call our common purpose. We put together a core team of residents of the BVI comprised not only of persons in the hospitality sector, but also persons from business, persons from finance, persons from government, and not necessarily only managers. We picked bartenders, we picked persons who work in different government departments, and we came up with a service, with a framework, a common purpose, and that purpose is that in the BVI, we create happiness when we work together to provide lasting British Virgin Islands memories. So while it is that we recognize that persons come from different countries and reside here, the idea is that our guests want to have BVI memories. So that's the overriding framework. And since, is it Keith, I believe, October of last year, we've put over 700 BVI landers through that program, where we focus on safety, friendliness, the authenticity of the BVI experience, and efficiency. So the idea is that once we have these approaches consistently throughout the BVI, from the arrival experience right through to the departure, then we'll be getting somewhere. There are service behaviors as well that we would like all residents to adhere to as well. And we feel that with those 10 service principles, that there's the consistency, and we'll be able to, to create a nice experience for our guests. And they're very simple. I mean, Keith can share them with you quickly one by one, just calling them out.
The service behaviors include, they're like affirmations. So I prioritize safety in everything I do. I smile, make eye contact, display positive body language, and keep conversations positive. I seek out guest contact using names whenever possible. I anticipate needs and welcome questions. I am knowledgeable about British Virgin Islands culture and proactively share about our little secrets. I reduce hassles and inconveniences. I value each guest's time and resources. I make it right away. I thank each and every guest. I acknowledge others' contributions toward a memorable guest experience. So these are something that you could actually even use as persons use affirmations to instill it inside of their essence, their spirit.
It seems though too, with what the points that you made there, that there's some learning that has to be done.
Of course.
Yes, definitely.
And when you talk about culture, you're talking a lot too about history.
Yes.
You're talking about knowledge of the environment. I mean, giving directions, for example, is one of the simplest examples of how we are not paying attention. I mean, I've had to learn the street names, so I could tell a visitor, just to tell a visitor, not for me or for anybody, just to tell a visitor, you go down to Castro Street, you make a right on Fleming Street, and the places, because, you can't say go by the Tamon Tree.
Yes.
And how many of us know to even pay attention to that? So that's something that we're going to have to draw to the population's attention, that these are things that they're going to have to learn, locations, activities, and how you plan to get that across in your messaging as you go along throughout the campaign.
Well, there's quite a bit of ways that we plan to do that. We plan to be very aggressive in the digital space in terms of social media. It's important as well for us to get into the schools, have the interaction with the kids, with the different companies as well. We plan as well to have a very public campaign via radio and TV, where again we look at where we're saying that tourism is everybody's business. So it's not just Keith or myself or the Premier or the Junior Minister talking about tourism and giving the examples. We're looking at the common person on the street who maybe thinks that, okay, I work in solid waste, so I don't really have an interaction with a guest, or what I do does not impact the guest. But our idea is to have the conversations with them in a very meaningful way so that each person can see, you know what, this little piece that I think that I do is very important to the guest who visits us. And my interaction with that guest is very important.
And you mentioned solid waste, which is an excellent example, because solid waste is the group or the organization that keeps the place clean.
Yes.
And the importance of keeping the place clean so that the garbage collector on the street for solid waste needs to feel ownership
of what he or she is doing
because
yes.
of the importance of tourism. Speaking of the importance of tourism, how do we get in our people's minds the importance of tourism is value to our economy, is value to us as individuals? Because we got this sort of like in between service and servitude. We come from a long history of servitude.
Yes.
And so we still have that trauma.
So we have to change the paradigm, as I like to say, and we talk about it in the office all the time. If it is that we're to survive as a tourism destination, we have to start thinking a bit differently. There is a vast difference between service and servitude, and we're not in the servitude business. So it's part of our role is to sensitize everyone to look at the fact that providing a service and fulfilling the dreams of the guests who visit us, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we should take a lot of pride in having people come to the BVI, and there's so much competition out there. They want to come here. So when they come here, we need to make sure that we deliver. So we have to keep communicating the message. It can't be that we talk about tourism only in November when it's tourism month. We have to keep tourism front-facing all the time. It needs to be taught in the schools from an elementary level. It needs to be talked about constantly. It needs to be talked about in the different government offices, etc. Keith is pointing out to me that today we handed over a tourism manual to the education department. We've provided a guide for them on what tourism is, the facets in tourism, the jobs that are available in tourism that all teenagers don't think about. So we have to start at a core level in the homes as well, in the schools, in the churches, on the playing fields, in the different government offices, and even in financial services, to show people that tourism is all of us in the crux of it.
How long is the campaign for? Is it ongoing or is it for a period of time?
The campaign is ongoing. We're basically planning out for the remainder of this the fiscal year, which is the calendar year in our case. But we're going beyond that. One of the things that the director alluded to, we have some programs that are already ongoing that will only accentuate the building of awareness. Like we have a tourism education program in schools that is already going on. So this will further bolster that activity. Even the staycations applies to this as well, because as you know, through the staycations, we as BVI Islanders get to learn the place and get to understand more the value of tourism to us, how the tourists move, what the tourists experience, and so forth. And it makes us a lot, I'm sure it's made us a lot more sensitive as to
the product,
to the product and the provision of service. And one of the things that the premier at the lunch said today was the fact that the service behaviors and treating people right is not just for visitors. It will be better for this territory.
Well, that's one of the problems that I have personally, and I'm sure many other persons have it as well because they've spoken to me about it, is that the standard of service is not the same for the guests as it is for the people that live here.
Yes.
And one of the challenges we're going to have is to maintain a certain quality, a certain standard across the board, no matter who comes to the place. And I suspect, they say there's an old saying, familiarity breeds contempt, and not in a negative sense.
Right.
It's just that listen, I ain't no kid. I ain't got to put on no special. I ain't got to put on a special show.
Right.
But Sharon is my guest from North America, and I need to make sure that I impress her.
Yes.
So it's not that I don't think it's a bad thing. Even though I do think sometimes some of the managers in the businesses have the employees behave in two different ways.
Yeah, and that's something that that we acknowledge, and it's something that we need to work on as well. Because in my previous life at Rosewood Little Dix Bay, we would say, at the end of the day, when that person walks through your door or you greet that person, there should be no differentiation between whether that person lives here or is visiting from away, because there should be that consistent service. And yes, it is, I might know Keith or I might know you, but then the idea should be, well, why not practice my skills?
Yes.
Practice on Keith, because then if you get it kind of wrong there, we have a little opportunity to fix it. But with some of our guests from away, we don't have that opportunity to fix it.
There's no second chance for first impression.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, now, tourism as a sector, how do you think that we fare when it comes to understanding the economic value of tourism as a sector? We know it's an economic pillar. We know it generates income, but how many of us translate that into what it means for me individually? I say to me it means how I get my mortgage paid,
yes,
how I get my car loan paid, how I get my children through school. That's what it means to me.
To you, yes.
Yeah, personally. So I understand completely when I meet a guest on the street and I see them looking at a map parked on the side of the road, that I'm going to make sure that they get where they're going, and I explain to them where to go so that they have a good experience, that they come back, because that's what's paying my mortgage.
Yes.
Right? How do we get all of us to understand tourism on that level?
It is, I would say that it is a challenge, and some of it is the way that we've been socialized. And in the BVI, yes, we know that tourism is important, but for some reason, we seem to think that financial services is the only place where it's at. I like to say that tourism is the thing that feeds the masses, and it feeds the masses of the BV Islanders, and it trickles down into the economy.
They provide the most opportunities.
And provides the most opportunity and the opportunity for growth, and the opportunities for businesses.
Entrepreneurship, yes.
Offshoots of tourism. So a lot of it, we have our work cut out for us. I wish I had a staff that was twice the amount, so that we can put some of our team members on the street, into the different businesses, doing more one-on-one and face-to-face, and explaining to that person who is a waiter or that person who's a dock master how important what they do is. And at the end of the day, if they do a really great job, that can translate into additional revenue for that particular business, and hence additional opportunities.
It helps all of us. It helps everyone in the territory. Every guest helps everyone in the territory.
It comes back to Pierre and Cron's book, Why Does a Tourist Dollar Matter?
Yes.
that dollar, if you follow that dollar around,
You'd be surprised at where it goes. It touches. Yes.
Unlike, and I'm not knocking financial services, but unlike financial services that mainly go to the government coffers, and then the government is the means by which that is the greatest means by which that is distributed.
Right.
That money is distributed. Tourism goes in the hands of everybody: the store owner, taxi driver, tour operator, hotel, restaurant. You know, everybody gets a piece of that, like more or less immediately.
And maybe that's where part of our campaign needs to go. We're open to ideas and suggestions from individuals in the community as to how to help us to get the message across. So maybe it is that there needs to be a graphic or a short 30-second spot that shows what happens to that dollar. Where does that dollar go? And how many people that particular dollar impacts.
Yes, that's an important thing, I think, for us to understand. Tourism is something that we, local Virgin Islanders, can attach hitch our wagon to, so to speak.
Yes.
And I think we need to understand it on that level as well. Keeping our place clean, finally, and it'll be a fall on at 10 o'clock. You got a boat to catch.
Yes.
And of course, I got a packed show. I got a packed show tonight, so before 3 o'clock. But keeping the place clean. I mean, I make it my business to walk to the garbage can. I don't drop things on the street.
Yes.
Right. But one of the things sometimes I find I have to hold my empty cup, because I'll go and get a shake. And you know, I'm drinking in the street. I'm always eating and drinking in the street. You know, that's just me. And I had to walk with my empty container quite a distance before I meet my next garbage
and again,
bin.
There's work to be done there. I know that the city manager and solid waste, they've started a program where we see more bins in the town area, and we need to do a bit more, because as you say, sometimes you have a piece of garbage and there's nowhere to throw it, and for some persons that is the street. So we need to look at providing additional receptacles and providing ways for persons not to litter. But having said that, the cleanliness component of the One BVI campaign is a very big part of what we do. We cannot tell guests to come to the BVI because we're nature's little secrets, and it's beautiful and it's unspoiled, and they get here and there's
garbage
trash everywhere. There are derelict vehicles, there are derelict boats. It's sort of like we're a society, we don't want to get rid
of anything.
Of any and everything. That boat could be sitting there for 10 years and there's still some part we still think we can somehow miraculously get it into the water.
Never use it, but you don't want to see it move.
So we need to look at, we need to be clean, and the cleanliness is not the responsibility of solid waste alone. We've stopped teaching our kids cleanliness in the schools. We've decided that our kids are too nice to pick up after themselves. They don't help to clean classrooms at the end of the day. And if you go around the BVI, I hate to say it, in the vicinity of a lot of our schools, it is appalling.
Children just drop the stuff. They just finish and they drop it.
So we need to maybe as well to get back to basics. Yes, we're a growing society, but I always remember my mother saying, cleanliness is next to godliness.
All right.
And I believe that if we go back to some of the basic things that we did that helped us to become nature's little secrets, that we would do a lot better in terms of keeping our BVI clean.
Absolutely. Any last final words, things that we missed?
Well, we just want to encourage everyone to come on board with us with the program, with One BVI. That's our catchword. We're One BVI. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. At the end of the day, we're all in this together. Tourism is our business. We want tourism to be here to stay. So we need to act like it, and we need to not only talk the talk, we need to walk the talk, and that's all of us.
We need to add more positive.
More positive, so that we're really and truly, as we say, One BVI.
One
One
BVI.
One
BVI.
BVI.
One BVI.
Yes, and don't forget to bring my pin.
No. Maybe I'll leave my pin with you.
That's good. and y'all come back because this has got to be an ongoing event. It just cannot be once a spotlight show here or a Mojo show there. It has to be consistent, ongoing.
Definitely.
So feel free to come and talk about aspects of it, even the progress of it. Sometimes you need to show some success.
Yes,
So thank you.
definitely. Thank you so
We
much,
will be
Comrade.
accepting your invitation
Yeah,
for sure.
man.
Yes.
You know for sure that when you call me, I don't say
Yes, and we appreciate that very
All
much.
right.
You're a very
Yes,
good
sir.
friend to the BVI Tourist Board.
So don't take advantage of it.
Yes, thank you.
We're gonna take a break for word from our sponsors. When we come back, we're gonna come back with Stacey Stout James and Miss Bazaar. I gotta get the rest of her name together.
Sarah.
But we're gonna be talking about Miss Sarah Hussein Bazaar from Social Development. We're gonna be talking about Child Abuse Awareness Month and autism. Keep it locked right here to Spotlight. We'll be right back.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited, the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, and CCT Global Communications.